suburban rent boom, and that's where the growth is in general. I mean, it's not. I mean, yeah, the urban cores are sort of recovered, but not fully from the pandemic. They're not what they used to be, and people are moving to the suburbs. They want more space. People are getting married, or they're thinking about getting married, having kids, or thinking about having kids, or like the idea of it. And enough on the margins of people are. Some of them are actually doing that. Specifically, millennials. We're moving the needle, and look at that. This is what the suburbs look like? In,
it's the stock photo suburbs.
where do you?
It's definitely
Phoenix?
Arizona.
Yeah, okay.
That's what I think.
It could be somewhere. No, it's probably not California. Anyway, Matt, do you ever?
So
do you ever? Have you? I'm sorry. Have you ever watched the videos of the guys that use Google Earth and they have like a quick picture and they have to geolocate anywhere in the world?
I have. There was some
impressive
challenge the other day that was like that. Oh, no. There was some video I watched where it was a mystery box and you got a key out of this mystery box. And it was like, there's a car in this location. If you can find it, then you get the car. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. Well, that's like the was that a geocache?
I think it was something like that. Okay. It seemed like that.
Well,
like
this
you
is the
find
guys
the clues
that are
in the picture
on,
and then
like it's on Google Earth.
Yeah.
And like it's like one image and they're like, well, this is the type of grass that only grows in Peru.
And they always get it right.
And like, at least the videos that you see.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
We digress.
Yeah.
But we're focused.
Now, you know what? Though searching for things and placing yourself, there is okay. So just to kind of restart and reorient towards the suburbs.
We're talking about the suburbs, and we identified.
Article got me thinking a little bit about the difference between a city and a suburb, and just to kind of skim through what I was thinking about, and which actually does reflect this idea that the suburbs are changing. I think that this is the underlying point. It's not like the clear overt point that they're making, which is that more people are going into the suburbs, but there's this undercurrent of a changing suburb and how suburbs are kind of becoming little cities in their own right. So depending on where you point the metropole, the outskirts are going to be different. So there is one way of defining it is it inside the MSA? Well, that's the city. Is it outside? It's a suburb. And another way is this historical definition I thought was kind of interesting is
the MSA, the MSA is going to be huge though.
Yeah, I know. Well, you can define your MSA, so that's why it's also this is a joint Harvard Joint Center for Housing Studies report that I was pulling this from. But the next one is this, and they talk about the MSA rule. They say it's like very flexible. It's easy. You can work with it. You can define it how you want, whatever point you want to make. Next is this historical definition where if houses were built before 1940s, it's the city. If they were built from like 1950 to 1969, it's an inner ring suburb, and so there's like a historical progression that kind of fits but not really. And then the other thing that I think fits it maybe the best but still doesn't reflect everything is how much are you driving your car, how much people own single family homes, and there's a kind of continuum that is more or less I keep thinking of population density.
I was going to say that's what you were just saying, and you would think population density would be kind of a core piece of all of that. Yeah. It seems like the definition of pornography. I know it when I see it. But definitely, I think things can evolve and adapt, and we've seen suburbs. We've talked about on the Great Report in the past. I mean, we've seen certain suburbs that are little mini cities. Yeah. That doesn't mean they're not suburbs, but suburbs can be cities, and cities can be suburbs, and some cities aren't suburbs, and there's old... Yeah. I mean, just again, we focus on Indianapolis because that's where we were born and raised, and we both lived other places. But there's old suburbs that are in downtown Indianapolis. And the Lockerbie, Lockerbie Place was one of the first suburbs, and Woodruff Place, and those are like right next to downtown. They're single family homes, but they're definitely in the city. And there are suburbs around the country. I don't think Carmel, Indiana is the only one that has transformed into this place of big yards and single family homes. And there are areas within, I'm just using Carmel, Indiana as an example. There's like a little downtown there. It fits all of these definitions of urban, and so it's like very dense. Regardless of how you define it, you run into these clear examples of how suburbs have changed. Well, can we just find out just like a lot of subdivisions? Yeah, I know subdivisions. I think population density should get you
really a long way there, because population density will make a neighborhood more walkable, which is one of these, kind of characteristics.
Do you have a cul-de-sac?
Yeah, exactly. Because like we said before, and this was like several months ago, it's hard to make something walkable. It's hard to make that city feel if you're walking past 50 yards versus walking past one building.
Matt, do you think there's going to be any kind of retracement back to the city? I think we've seen sort of a recovery, but especially for younger people, there's an attractiveness to the city. There's a reason why people live in higher, density locations. Are the demographics just too strong for millennials wanting some more space, or is that appreciation for the social theater and the walkability and all that? Is that, have we lost that? Because the last decade or so was this resurgence of the urban core of the city. Is that like gone? Is that old news or what?
Well, so I feel like this is very cliche, kind of bringing the city into the suburbs in creating these denser areas. I don't know if you've seen the movie Up, where the buildings come up around the little city. You're seeing that happen, maybe not in the city anymore, but you're seeing it in these outskirts communities where, where there's not necessarily skyscrapers, but there's definitely multi-floor buildings coming up, big commercial areas, and people are walking around. So I think that there is going to be kind of urbanization still happening. Maybe on the outskirts.
But let's just build in the suburbs.
Yeah, but I also think that downtown apartments got hit, downtown offices really got hit, and it's hard. It's hard to see them not coming back.
Yeah, and a lot of those companies are moving to the suburbs, and I don't know. I appreciate it all. Some people are like city, suburb, rural. I've lived in New York City, Manhattan, Brooklyn. I've lived born in suburbs of Indianapolis. Lived in a couple suburbs in Indy. Lived in Bloomington. Lived in sort of urban Indianapolis, and then I've also lived in very rural, on a farm as well. And it's all you make of it. It's all good. There's pros and cons, but it's fascinating. But one thing's for sure is that rent growth there's been some divergence depending on how far you are out. Yeah. And the further you are out, if you're in that path of progress, maybe you've had a lot more room to grow from. But it's the furthest away you are out from a city, the higher the rent growth has been, and it's pretty consistent.
And the bigger the city, the stronger this effect has been.
Interesting. Yeah.